Okay, so imagine this. A journalist lands in a country with all the right credentials only to be detained and sent back home without explanation. That's exactly what happened in Israel this week.
And it's sparking a lot of debate about press freedom and international politics. Let's get into it.
Welcome to DeActa Daily Digest. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Juniper. Here are today's top stories.
Let's start with Alice Froussard, the French journalist deported from Israel. She was there to report on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict for Radio France Internationale and Radio France. But Israeli officials accused her of supporting Hamas and sent her back to Paris.
What's striking is that Froussard reportedly had all the necessary documentation, including a press visa application for work in the West Bank. Yet, she was detained overnight at the airport and deported the next morning. It's a move that's raising eyebrows internationally.
And it's not just about her. RFI and the Société des Journalistes, which is linked to France 24, have condemned this as part of a broader trend of restricting journalists in the region. They're calling it an attack on press freedom.
It's hard not to see this as politically motivated, especially since it came just 2 days after France banned Israel's finance minister, Bezalel Smotrich, from entering the country. That decision was tied to his controversial support for annexing the West Bank.
Right. And this tit-for-tat dynamic is troubling. When governments start using journalists as pawns in diplomatic disputes, it sets a dangerous precedent. It's not just about one person. It's about the public's right to know what's happening in these critical regions.
And the accusation against Froussard, that she supports Hamas, is serious. But without evidence, it feels more like an attempt to silence critical reporting than a legitimate security concern.
Exactly. And when you think about the broader implications, it's chilling. Will other journalists now hesitate to report from the region? Will media outlets pull back on covering sensitive stories? The ripple effects could be significant.
It's a reminder of how fragile press freedom can be, even in democracies. And it's not just happening in Israel. Around the world, we're seeing increasing hostility toward journalists, whether it's through legal action, physical threats, or, as in this case, deportation.
It's a global issue, and it's one we'll have to keep watching. But let's shift gears to our second story. Trump's threats to seize Karg Island amid escalating tensions with Iran.
This one's intense. Trump announced on Truth Social that the U.S. would strike Iran very hard and suggested plans to take control of Karg Island, which handles about 90% of Iran's crude exports. It's a bold move, to say the least.
And it's happening against the backdrop of stalled ceasefire talks. Trump seems to be using a mix of military pressure and diplomatic overtures to force Iran into concessions. But it's a risky strategy.
Especially since Iran has already retaliated with strikes on U.S. bases in Bahrain, Kuwait, and Jordan. They've even claimed to have closed the Strait of Hormuz, which is a major choke point for global oil supplies. The stakes couldn't be higher.
And that's what makes this so dangerous. Any disruption to the Strait of Hormuz could have far-reaching consequences for global energy markets. This isn't just about the U.S. and Iran, it's about the entire world.
And let's not forget the human cost. India reported that 3 of its citizens were killed in a U.S. strike on a vessel. These aren't just geopolitical maneuvers. Real lives are being affected.
It's a stark reminder of the complexities of modern warfare. You have military actions, diplomatic negotiations, and economic sanctions all intersecting, and the lines between them are increasingly blurred.
And then there's the domestic angle. Trump's approach seems designed to appeal to his base, projecting strength, taking a hard line on Iran. But it also risks dragging the U.S. into another prolonged conflict, something many Americans are wary of.
It's a tightrope walk for sure. And with so many moving parts, it's hard to predict how this will play out. But let's move on to our third story, which, while less dramatic, is still significant. The rail disruptions in Israel caused by ultra-Orthodox protesters.
This one's interesting because it highlights a different kind of tension within Israeli society. Protesters from the ultra-Orthodox community blocked tracks near Ganat, causing nationwide disruptions to train services.
The Ganat junction is a critical link in Israel's rail network, so this blockage has had far-reaching consequences. Trains from Be'er Sheva, Ben Gurion Airport, Modi'in, and Jerusalem couldn't reach Tel Aviv or continue northward.
And it's not just commuters who are affected. Soldiers returning from Be'er Sheva were also stranded, which adds another layer of complexity to the situation.
Israel Railways hasn't announced when full service will resume, and passengers are being advised to seek alternative transportation. It's a logistical nightmare.
But beyond the immediate disruptions, this protest raises questions about the underlying issues. What prompted the ultra-Orthodox community to take such drastic action? And how does this fit into the broader social and political landscape in Israel?
That's the million-dollar question. The ultra-Orthodox community has often been at odds with the secular majority in Israel, whether it's over military service, education, or public transportation. This protest could be another flashpoint in that ongoing tension.
It's a reminder that while international conflicts often dominate the headlines, domestic issues can be just as complex and impactful, and sometimes they're deeply intertwined.
Absolutely. Whether it's journalists being deported, international tensions escalating, or domestic protests disrupting daily life, these stories all reflect the challenges of navigating a world that's increasingly interconnected and, frankly, volatile.
Absolutely. And it's a reminder that every story has layers, political, social, economic, that are worth unpacking. The more we understand, the better equipped we are to make sense of the world around us.
On that note, let's wrap up. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.